You are on Sol 217, and the dust is the only thing that moves. A fine red silt that whispers against your visor as you hike the lip of a nameless canyon in the Valles Marineris. Your boots leave the only marks for 1,000 kilometers, and the silence is so complete, you can hear the hiss of your own breath in the helmet, a sound that has become the rhythm of your days since you left Earth and everything on it behind. You're here to map a seismic ghost, a tremor the orbital scans couldn't explain, and you plant the last sensor spike into the iron-rich regolith with a practiced twist of your wrist. The routine is a comfort, a checklist that keeps the vast Martian quiet from getting inside your head. But as you pull your hand back, your glove snags on a sharp edge that isn't rock, and you look down to see a sliver of something black and impossibly smooth jutting from the rust-colored soil. You kneel, brushing the dust away with a glove that suddenly feels clumsy, and the sliver becomes a shard. Then a curved plate of material that is cold and seamless under your touch. It is not stone or metal, but something in between. A ceramic blacker than the space between stars, and etched into its surface are spiraling grooves so fine they seem to drink the light from your helmet lamp. Patterns that speak of intelligence and a time scale that makes your own heartbeat feel like a fleeting echo. You call it in, your voice sounding thin and far away even to yourself. And Mission Control's response is a crackle of static before the calm, procedural voice of Ilara asks you to repeat your coordinates. You describe the shard, the unnatural smoothness, and the silence on the other end stretches so long, you think the comms have failed, until she comes back with new instructions, her tone carefully flat, telling you to secure a sample and begin a perimeter survey for any other fragments, but to touch nothing else. You bag the shard, its cold weight feeling alien against your thigh, and you begin the slow sweep of the canyon floor, your eyes scanning every shadow and rockfall for another glint of that impossible black. You find nothing for an hour, the silence pressing in, until your boot scuffs a slope of loose scree, and you see it, a darker shadow in the canyon wall, an archway half buried by a millennia-old landslide, its edges too straight and its opening leading into a perfect, waiting darkness. Stand before the archway, the shadow it casts stretching toward you like an invitation, and you report what you see, your words measured but your pulse loud in your ears. Ilara's voice returns, tight with a tension she can't fully mask, instructing you to set up your external lights and camera, but to not cross the threshold, and you obey, planting the tripod in the dust and bathing the smooth, non-native stone in a harsh white beam that reveals no end to the passage within. The light from your lamp disappears into the darkness without hitting a back wall, and the air in your suit tastes suddenly of static and old metal, a phantom scent your brain conjures from the sheer wrongness of the geometry before you. Ugh! Ilara's voice cuts through the silence, ordering you to hold position, but your feet are already moving, one heavy boot, then the other, carrying you across the threshold of the arch and into the cool, absolute dark of the cavern. Because you are a geologist, and this is the only question that has ever mattered. The darkness swallows your light, and your comms signal at once, leaving you in a silence deeper than the Martian surface, and you take 5 slow steps forward before your lamp finally catches the far wall, revealing it is not rock at all, but a surface of fused, glassy material etched with those same spiraling patterns that now cover every surface, curving up into a vaulted ceiling you cannot see, and the scale of it hits you like a physical blow. This is not a cave, but a made place, and it is ancient. You argue with Ilara, your voice a low, urgent whisper in the helmet, as you insist you need just 5 more minutes to document the chamber, because the patterns on the walls are shifting under your light in a way that suggests meaning, and the air hums with a subsonic frequency you feel in your teeth. She grants permission with a sigh that sounds like a severance, and you turn your camera inward, stepping deeper into the vault where the crystalline structures begin to glow, a soft, internal blue as you pass. You move deeper into the vault, and the crystalline trees brighten with each step, their cold blue light casting long, wavering shadows that seem to move independently of you, and the floor beneath your boots yields with a faint, spongy resilience that is nothing like stone. You reach the center of the chamber, where a dais of the same black material rises from the floor, and upon it rests a single obsidian slab that is utterly featureless and seems to pull the light and sound from the space around it. Your gloved hand hovers over the obsidian slab, and the air in your suit grows thick and cold, and you can feel a pressure building behind your eyes like a silent scream. You reach out because you have to know, and your fingertips brush the surface, which is neither hot nor cold, but simply absent, a hole in reality, and the entire chamber shudders with a deep, subsonic frequency that vibrates up through your boots and into your bones, and the spiraling patterns on the walls begin to writhe and flow like liquid. You snatch your hand back as if burned, but the vibration only deepens, a resonant hum that fills your helmet and makes your vision blur, and you turn to run, your boots slipping on the now glistening floor as you scramble back the way you came. Your lamp beam dances wildly across the flowing walls, and you skid to a halt where the entrance should be, because the tunnel is gone, replaced by a smooth, seamless wall, etched with new, unfamiliar patterns that were not there a minute before. You press your hands against the new wall, feeling its impossible smoothness, and you spin around, your light cutting through the pulsing blue gloom to reveal 3 other archways where there was only solid rock before, each leading into a different, deeper darkness. Your breath fogs the inside of your visor as you try to remember the turns you took, but the geometry of the place has rewritten itself, and the low hum in the air sharpens into a tone that feels like it's probing the edges of your mind. You choose the leftmost archway because it feels the least like a choice, and you plunge into a new tunnel where the walls are closer, and the humming is a physical pressure against your suit, and your helmet lamp flickers as you run, casting stuttering shadows that seem to reach for you. You don't look back, but you feel the space behind you shifting and sealing, a silent rearrangement that herds you forward, and the only sound is your own ragged breathing and the crunch of your boots on the strange, resilient floor. You run until your lungs burn, and a warning light flashes on your visor, a soft yellow alert for suit integrity, and you stumble into a narrow alcove to see a hairline crack in the primary oxygen regulator where you scraped against the wall. Your hands shake as you fumble for the sealant tube, squeezing the cold gel over the fracture, while the walls around you pulse with that slow, patient blue rhythm. And you realize the leak is minor, but the message is not. You are being allowed to go only so far. The sealant hardens into a gray, rubbery scar over the regulator, and you take a slow, testing breath that tastes of plastic and your own fear, and you push yourself out of the alcove to find the tunnel ahead has widened into a vast, spherical vault where the air shimmers with a heat haze distortion. In the center is a pool of what looks like liquid mercury, its surface perfectly still and reflecting the cavern ceiling you cannot see, and standing at its edge, you feel a presence so immense and old, it stops your breath. You stand frozen at the edge of the mercury pool, your reflection a distorted orange smudge in its perfect surface, and the presence is not a thing you see, but a weight in the air that presses against your chest plate and fills your helmet with a silence louder than any sound. The liquid metal ripples without a source, and shapes form on its surface, not pictures but impressions of vast, dark journeys and a loneliness so profound it echoes your own. And you understand this is a memory, and you are standing inside it. The impressions in the pool shift again, showing a star field you don't recognize and then a single, blue-green world that is achingly familiar, and the loneliness in the memory is joined by a sense of vigil, a watch kept over eons for a signal that never came, or hold out. The presence turns its focus on you, not with eyes, but with a pressure that seems to examine the very noise of your thoughts, the frantic rhythm of your human fear, and you feel like a specimen under a lens older than your species. The pressure in your mind coalesces into a choice, not in words, but in a flood of cold understanding that bypasses language entirely, and you see two paths laid out before you with the clarity of a remembered dream. One leads deeper into the vault to become a fossil in this living archive, your story and your silence added to its infinite collection, and the other leads back to the sun, to a life where this place and everything in it never existed. The choice hangs in the air of your helmet, a cold, absolute fork in the path of your life, and you think of Earth not as a planet, but as a memory, the smell of rain on hot pavement, the weight of your ex-wife's head on your shoulder, the green of a single leaf against a blue sky. The presence waits, a patient silence in the ancient dark, and you know your answer before you form the thought, a desperate human need for the sun. The moment your choice is made, the mercury pool goes perfectly still and dark, and the immense pressure in the vault simply vanishes, leaving a hollow silence in your suit. As the wall behind you irises open with a soundless smoothness to reveal a straight, sloping tunnel lit by the same soft blue glow. You don't look back, you just start walking, your boots carrying you upward toward a point of distant, dusty light that can only be the Martian sun, and the geometry of the place now feels like an escort, not a maze. You climb the sloping tunnel toward the growing point of light, and the blue glow in the walls fades with each step, replaced by the familiar, rusty gloom of the Martian canyon, until you finally stumble out of the archway and into the blinding, ochre glare of the afternoon sun. You stand there swaying your shadow long and thin on the regolith, and you turn to look back at the opening, but it is just a shadowed crack in the rock, a natural formation that tells you nothing. You walk back to your rover on legs that feel like they belong to someone else, the dust crunching under your boots with a sound that is suddenly, overwhelmingly loud, and you climb into the driver's seat and sit there, for a long time, staring at your gloved hands on the controls without starting the engine. You try to form a report in your head, to find the words for what happened in the dark, but your thoughts slide away from the memory, like water off glass, leaving only a cold, hollow silence. You drive back to the hab in a daze, the rover's tracks the only proof you moved at all, and you sit in the airlock through the long cycle, staring at the red dust on your suit as it's blown away by the jets. The inner hatch opens to the sterile, familiar light of the hab, and Ilara's voice greets you with a relief so sharp it feels like an accusation, asking for your data and a full debrief the moment you're out of your suit. You stand in the hab's main module, your suit hanging open at the waist, and you try to tell Ilara about the cavern and the presence and the choice, but the words catch in your throat like dry stones, and you can only manage to say you found nothing, that the samples are just dust and the logs are blank. Her voice turns from relief to professional concern, asking about carbon monoxide levels and psychological stress, and you let her believe it because the truth is dissolving inside you, leaving only a ghost of cold certainty. You spend the next 2 sols in the hab, mechanically running diagnostics and filing reports that say nothing, and the mission psych team on Earth conducts a long, probing interview where you describe a sensor malfunction and a brief disorientation in a canyon, your own voice sounding flat and convincing in your ears. You watch the data from your suit and rover get scrubbed and recalibrated by mission control, every anomalous reading smoothed into the bland curve of a routine survey, and the hollow place inside you grows colder with each erased bite. You sit alone in the hab's observation blister on Sol 219, staring at the Earth as a bright, unwavering blue star in the black velvet of space, and you try to hold on to the memory of the cavern, the weight of the presence, and the cold clarity of the mercury pool, but it slips through your fingers like smoke, leaving behind only a profound and empty silence where the awe and the terror used to be. You know with a certainty that has no source that you are now a part of its long vigil, and that the silence inside you is the only artifact you were ever allowed to keep. The next morning, you pull on your suit for a routine maintenance check on the solar array, and as you step out into the endless rust, you feel the gaze of the planet upon you, not from the sky, but from the deep, quiet stone beneath your boots. Ahanengi. You work in the familiar silence, your hands performing the tasks by rote, and you know you will finish your tour and return to Earth, where you will walk under a blue sky and never speak of the hollow place inside you that watches the stars and waits.